This is the World Satsanga on the 27th of June 2015. Well, first of all, a great big apology to all of you who actually dialed into Skype today, but I've been battling with the computer for, well, now, well over 3/4 of an hour to try to get Skype to work. The computer I use has the group addresses of all the Satsanga participants, and for some reason Skype doesn't keep that in its central directory. The group lists are stored individually on people's computers. So in this particular instance, the computer I use with all your addresses on is malfunctioning. I can't even get Google Chrome to work. Must be a virus on the computer, so I'll have to sort of sort it out later. But the result of this is basically I can't use my other computer, which is an older computer, to be able to dial you all in, because one, it hasn't got the processing power, and two, the list for the Satsanga participants isn't on that computer. So I'm actually stymied at the moment. Anyway, as a result of all this, I've decided that I'm going to record the essence of the Satsanga, the content as it was proposed, and email it all out to you, including the meditation. I know that we've got some questions from Ula, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the agenda first. And initially, the agenda is to look at the Ascension process, which is basically the Ascension revisited, look at the process itself, the observation, and my personal experiences to basically identify that we are in fact ascending the frequencies as a group. Okay. Then I'm going to go through the questions that we had. Unfortunately, we were only going to be able to go through others' questions, but that's okay. Actually, the questions she sent through were very, very good, and will give us the potential to be able to understand the subject that she's brought up in greater detail. So I'm pleased about that. And the last part of the Satsanga will be a meditation. The meditation was to sense disease within us. And actually, I sort of did a maiden voyage with this particular meditation with my group who are based in Slovenia, and it went very well. So I can do that now at the end of this particular Satsanga recording, and you'll be able to participate in the way that you do normally, but with a view to the fact that you're doing it as a participant in the event space as it happened, but via the recording instead. Okay, so let's have a look at the Ascension process, the Ascension revisited. Well, basically the Ascension process is still unchanged as such in my understanding. Basically, we are moving in a slow, robust and repeatable way. There's no major changes happening in terms of this cliff edge ascension that people expect to experience. That being that the whole of the Earth will suddenly ascend up the frequencies, and we'll all suddenly be able to function in different ways, experience different things altogether, and we'll be able to witness the other aspects, or the higher frequential aspects that are associated with the Earth and the physical universe. And so we are going in an individualized way as part of this. Now, clearly, each of our individual ascension routes affects everybody else. As we ascend, we also affect the local environment that we're in, and those people who are in that local environment. So as we move up the frequencies, we actually do pull others up the frequencies with us, and this is called the triangulation effect. So, for instance, if I'm working with let's say John, and John's a higher frequency than I am, then I would be affected by John's higher frequency, and I would start to be pulled up to a level that is consistent with the average of the two, basically. So it would be the average of where I was and where John is, and therefore I'll be pulled to that level. Now I increase in frequency, but John doesn't lose his. So in this averaging out as it happens, I gain, and John gains through helping me out, but he doesn't actually lose anything in terms of the averaging process there for the frequential state between us. So it's a win-win situation from this perspective, and so that's direct triangulation. The triangulation that's affected by one-on-one interface between two people, or even 3 or 4 people, but that's a description. Now, in terms of triangulation, in terms of inflational triangulation, that's where we have little pockets of people who are working together, ascending together, pulling each other up, and they then sort of move up the frequencies together. The one goes in front of the other one, which pulls up somebody else, which pulls up somebody else, which pulls up somebody else, and they all start to ascend together. And if one of those people in one of those little groups meets somebody else in another group who are doing something similar, then there's a link created between them that allows the groups to affect each other in terms of their own ascension process as a group, and of course the individual members of that group. So that creates this direct line between two groups. So you're still getting this directional triangulation occurring, but on a group level. Now, those individuals who may be known by individuals of the group, but are not part of the group, will also be affected as well, because they will be exposed to the higher frequencies associated with those members of the group who are in fact ascending and are working with their own group and the people of the other group. And so people in the middle, so to speak, people who are outside of the groups but are, if you like, if you have a direct line of triangulation who are on this direct line, they will also be pulled up as a result of the communication or the interaction between the group members that they know, but even though they're not part of those groups. Now, if we have a third group involved, and there are people who, in one of those groups, knows the members of this third group, then we start to see a true triangulation effect happening, where we've got one group knows members of the first group and the third group, so to speak. So if we have Group A, members in Group A know people in Group B, and also people in Group C, then we start to see this two-way direct line of triangulation taking into effect. But if people in Group B also know people in Group C, then you start to see that there's direct line of triangulation between Group A to Group B, Group A to Group C, and Group C to Group B, and Group B to Group C, and vice versa, and it rotates round. And so those individuals in between, those direct lines of interaction start to get pulled up again. The inflational side of things happens when there's people in the middle of these lines of direct triangulation start to get affected. So the people who are in between the Group A, Group B and Group C triangulation, as it were, who are in the centre of the area, they will also potentially know people who are in all three of those different groups. And so what happens is they are also pulled up as well. So not only are we getting the direct line triangulation between Group A and Group B, and Group B and Group A, and then Group A and Group C, and Group C and Group A, and Group B and Group C, and Group C and Group B, but we're also getting the area within the centre of A, B and C also being affected as well through the interaction of individuals who undoubtedly will know people in those three groups. And so then that whole area, a localised area, starts to rise up the frequencies in total. Okay, so that's how we affect each other from the process perspective. But it's all down to the individual. Everything that happens is individualised. So although there is this triangulation effect, does affect members of groups or individualised people, but if it's just friendships that are causing the direct line of triangulation, the inflational side of things also is affected as well. But everything is based upon the individual ascending first. the individual ascends and affects friends, relatives, work colleagues, people who are within, for instance, a pastime, a sport, or a club, or whatever, or church that they are working with. And then in the centre, you get these people, these incidental people, if you want to call it that are also being affected as well. So as the individuals start to ascend, everybody else around them starts to ascend as well. Now, it might not be particularly, shall I say, well observed, but you will find that people who weren't really interested in spiritual work or metaphysical information might start to become interested in it. They might start to see or start to talk about subject matters that they would not normally have been interested in or involved in. and that's where you start to see that the ascension is working, both on an individual basis and in a group and local environment basis. And so the observations are really look for areas, local pockets, where there's groups of people who are starting to ascend and operating in high frequency ways, and there's the friends of them who wouldn't particularly be observant, or should we say, able to think about or interact with people who are working on a higher frequency, start to do so. They start to get involved with and start to become interested in subject matters that they weren't before. So that's the thing to look at, is what's happening on the individuals in the environment that they're in. And you might find that areas that were previously low frequency start to become quite high frequency, and so you start to see a different environment in terms of how people interact with each other. Now, one of the ways to other than seeing people becoming calmer, one of the ways to observe people's ascension process is that they start to be involved in more spiritual work, such as meditation, such as wanting to be a healer, such as wanting to meditate more, for instance. And also we start to see that they would change their attitude in how they work with people. For instance, if the way that they behave, the language that they use, the level of calmness, the level of understanding, their expansiveness will also change as well. And I can certainly remember quite a number of individuals that I've worked with who have shown signs of ascending. Now, the other signs of our ascension process is how the physical body is working. Now, one of the things we do have a problem with is that the physical body is low frequency, and as a result of that, we do have to drag it up the frequencies. And what happens is we start to experience different physical, different physical responses to that. And we have a bit of a saying here and in the US, and that is that sometimes people get what's called ascension flu. And what ascension flu is basically the sort of symptoms that you would expect to get with flu, but it's actually not flu. So that's why we call it ascension flu. And that is things like aches in the joints, aches in the muscles, pressure around the area of the third eye, and around the periphery of the skull. Start to hear tinnitus in the right ear at first, and other more profound audio or clairaudient information as well, such as what could be arguably described as being the plucking of harps and those sorts of things. Those are things you would hear when you start to tune into the base resonant frequency of the chakras and the frequencies that they work with. Also, the physical aspects are to do with being tired in the morning. Lots of people who get what is regarded to be a very good night's sleep may wake up extremely tired in the morning. That's a sign that the body is is struggling to keep up with the frequential changes, the ascension up to the frequencies, and or they're also doing some work when the body is sleeping, so that the soul or the aspect is outside of the body and is doing some work. And because it's higher frequency work than previously, it then starts to affect the physical body in a way that is represented by it being tired still, even though it's had a good night's sleep, and all of the toxins that are normally washed out of the body when the body is sleeping, although they're washed out, the effect is it appears they haven't been washed out, so the body is still tired. The way we think about material wealth is another way of observing how we are responding to increases in frequency. We start to remove ourselves from being materialistic. We start to realise that there's more to life than owning things, having expensive belongings, having lots of money, having high status jobs or high status people. We start to move away from this, and so it's a case that we do start to receive really quite profound changes in how we are operating here. So my own personal observations would include all of those things that you can classify as being general observations. I've personally seen people experiencing this so-called ascension flu. I've experienced it myself, and I've noticed that other people have also spotted it as well. I've noticed that lots of people are changing their way, their attitude, and how they interact with others. And this is a common thing that I'm spotting. More and more people are becoming aware and awake. More and more people are starting to understand things that are fundamental. I was speaking to, can you believe, I was having my car tested on Saturday, and the guy who was testing my car started to talk about metaphysical things at a very high level. And I thought, wow, I mean, I've never spoken to this guy in this way before. And he was very open, he was understanding things and also offering alternative viewpoints. It was fantastic to see. And another one of the guys in the garage also turned around and talked about time being much shorter than it was. So a lot of these things are actually personal observations that we are moving up the frequencies and are benefiting from it, both personally and shall I say in the local environment, and ultimately globally as well. Okay, I've just been receiving a number of emails, by the way, from people who've offered their condolences, as it were, for my computer crashing. Well, thank you, everybody. It's one of these. I'm going to have to go back into diagnostics, I think, and take it back to a previous safe point, and then reboot it and go see what happens. But it's just too difficult to do right now in the space time I've got, because it can take hours to sort itself out. So I'll have to do it later. In fact, Marnie's just said that she's having problems with her computers as well recently, and she said she'd lost her entire hard drive, 1 terabyte full of backups and movies on it. So sometimes you wonder if my hard drive, as in the human physical brain, will get wiped out with a strong magnet. I know that I read once a quote that talks about this memory aspect. Eternal life is simply the ability to have continuous consciousness. Yes. So basically, I'm a real humble apologies, but it seems that I've tried a few times whilst I'm doing this recording to reboot Skype, and it's just not doing. It's not having it, and Google Chrome won't go there either. The spooky thing is, I've been getting messages about Windows 10. so I haven't got Windows 10 on this computer. So I wonder if there's something out there that's forcing me to upgrade to Windows 10 before everything starts to work again. Okay. Right, so. Okay. So let's move on to the next thing. I'm just going to get the email that Ula sent up, because I think that's in terms of the process. We know it's a gradual process. We know we're not going to get a knife edge ascension or a cliff edge ascension, but we do get shall I say, the opportunity to have localized inflational triangulation, which isn't quite this cliff edge ascension. It's more of a gradual ascension where little groups of people affect other people, either directly or indirectly, or in an area based around where they live. So people are actually ascending in a gradual way, even when they're affected by a triangulation effect. Okay. Okay. So I've just got others questions up here, and I'll read it out verbatim so that we can get it. Unfortunately, I can't transmit it on Skype, so you can read it at the moment. Okay. She says, I've got a few questions pertaining to healing, as discussed in your fascinating interview on Truth Frequency Radio. She mentioned the woman that entities had grown, had integrated. I'm not sure I've done this before, actually. Actually, no, we've done this one before. There's another one that Ula sent, and I can't find that. Give me a moment. I'm just going to put this on pause, and we'll come back to that. This particular set of questions is one that Ula sent for the previous Satsanga. So I'm still trying to find the one that she sent with the questions about chakras. So bear with me a moment. Isn't it funny? When things start to crash technology-wise, they crash big time. Another sign that we're ascending, because we invent technology to replace that which we can do naturally, energetically. So every piece of technology is basically a mechanical method of doing things that we should be able to do normally, energetically. Another good example of our ascension is we're starting to lose the need for this stuff, and therefore it's breaking down around us. Okay, luckily I found it in a completely different subdirectory in my emails. Strange, they should all be in the in the World Satsanga subdirectory. Never mind. Here we go. Ila says she'd like to submit these questions for our discussion if we have time. If others have questions too, please choose the ones you'd like to discuss and leave the rest. So I think that given we've got the time to do it, I think I'm going to try and go through all of these in the logical manner that Ula's written them out. So the first one is: it is said that we create our own reality. Well, what happens at night when we go to deep sleep? Who maintains the reality of the bed, the house, the gross physical body, etc., while we're asleep, not consciously creating the reality around us? Do we blink it into existence in the morning? No. Well, what happens is basically, because there are enough individuals who we are interfacing with whilst we are incarnate, who expect us to be here, i.e. they're also creating the reality. They help to maintain the perpetuation of this reality when we are no longer focused on it. On top of that, there is also a function of us that's, if you like, an autopilot function, where we, even when we go to sleep, or when the body goes to sleep, and the soul, the aspect, starts to do things, travel around the world, around the multiverse, for instance, or the local physical universe, and do other important things, that there's a part of it which is still focused on maintaining the reality that's around us. So there's two things happening there. One is an autopilot function, an automatic function, that allows the perpetual creativity of our localized environments, including our physical form, and maintains its existence. And there's the existence is maintained as a result of others expecting us to be here. So we're all, in effect, smaller individualized units of a large memory basis, large memory bank, which is making this all happen and stay in the reality. If we all, say for instance, if we all decided to remove that automatic function, or we all decided that we didn't want to have this particular environment or this particular reality, it would in fact wink out of existence. Okay, so we maintain it automatically whilst we're doing other things, and others around us also help to maintain it as well, because they want us to be here, and they want the environment that we exist in to be here as well, because they also use it. Okay, 2. Some say thoughts are things and things are thoughts. How do several inventors or scientists get the same idea at the same time? Do they get downloads or direct downloads, like a receiver in a passive way from the same source, i.e. their own true energetic self, another true energetic self or source itself? Or do they actively pick out a thought idea from a cloud or pool of collective thought forms, collective consciousness somewhere between us and the source, to download into their consciousness or mind? In effect, there's two things working here. One is that there's a function of creativity that we need to observe. One is that we desire we desire something. We use our intention to solidify that desire. Then we think about it, and then we create it with action. And so it's desire, intention, thought, action, and that's the process for creativity. So when we're creating something ourselves, that's the process we go through, and the intention pulls the information out from the energetic environment. But when there's something like an important invention that needs to be broadcast across the world or across the physical universe, then there is a plan for a number of individuals to be, shall I say, passively aware. And by passively aware, I mean that they are able to pick up information that's given to them via their guide and helpers to introduce this technology or different way of looking at things. And we can see that in some instances things like radio and TVs and light bulbs, although they're invented by particular individuals who we assign credit to, actually then there's a number of other individuals around the world who are also inventing the same thing. So there's a number of individuals who come to Earth with a life plan that they will start to work on at a certain point in their incarnation. They will start to work on the development of a certain product or a certain idea or a certain technology or a certain way of living, for instance, or a certain thought process. And then they'll broadcast it. Some of these people are intuitive in their own right. Some of these people are scientists, and although they're intuitive, they would not call it being intuitive. They would call it being rigorous research and gut feelings. Now, for some strange reason, scientists allow us to have gut feelings, but they don't allow us to have intuition. Now, both of them are using a higher function of a higher spiritual function, but in essence, they're not quantifiable as such in the physical way that science requires, that the scientists need to have in terms of their rigorous research and the output of that. So scientists and inventors work in two ways: one with a life plan and the information being broadcast to them by their guide and helpers, and two by the use of rigorous research. But in essence, the rigorous research is just a tool that's used to validate the the intuitive information that is being given to them in their sort of automatically awake state, where they don't realise that they've got a connection to source or a connection to their higher self or their guide and helpers, but they nevertheless do have, and that's where they get their ideas from. Okay. So, next question. One of the functions of animals is to clean up the lower frequencies in their gross physical environment, and this is part of some of the text that was from the history of God. Do the chakra systems of mammalian vehicles differ in numbers and types of chakra from those of reptiles, birds, insects, and fish? Okay. There's three questions here. What are composite chakras? Yeah, okay. And when we meditate, why do our pets like to be near us? Can our pets access higher frequency source energy through us? Right, okay, so let's look at the first one. Do the chakra systems of mammalian vehicles differ in numbers and types of chakras from those of reptiles, birds, insects, and fish? In essence, any vehicle that is not human has the same classification. So, for instance, a dog, a horse, a bird, a reptile, etc., will have the same number of chakras associated with them in the same, and those chakras will work with the same frequencies. You may think, well, how can an elephant, for instance, have the same number of chakras as an insect? The way I'm just being told about insects is that they have a group chakra, or a series of group chakras that they work with. Because they are a hive mind, as it were, a collective, then they achieve their energies through having a chakra-based system that is associated with the nest, for instance, and they're all linked to this, and so the chakras that are part of them in this nest condition pulling energy in at these different frequential states and feed the individual insects, the ants, for instance, or bees, or wasps, or hornets, or any other form of insect that works in a communal way. And so they have a different type of chakra. But everybody else, like fish and birds and reptiles and other bigger animals like horses and dogs, etc., and cats, they have the same number of individual chakras associated to them, specifically because of the way they work. Okay, so so mammals and all of the animals, apart from the smaller versions, the insects, they all have the same type of chakras, different sizes, of course, because they will have a bigger physical vehicle. But in essence, they have the same number of chakras, and those chakras will be working with the same types of frequency associated with the frequencies that they're working with. Composite chakras are chakras that work on multiple frequential levels at the same time. For instance, as we ascend, some of us are actually gaining composite chakras. At the moment, we have 7 sets of chakras. We have the base chakra, we have the sacral chakra, which has a front and rear aspect. We have the solar chakra, which also has a front and rear aspect. Heart chakra, that has a front and rear aspect. The throat chakra and the spiritual or third eye chakras also have front and rear aspects. And the crown chakra, which is on its own as well. But each of those chakras deals with a certain frequency band. What I've noticed with some people as they ascend is that the need to work on the higher frequencies is more important than those on the lower frequencies. And so the first 3 chakras, the base chakra, the solar chakra, and the sacral chakra and the solar chakra, they stay combined into one bigger chakra that is predominantly assigned to the lower frequencies of the physical universe, or in fact the Earth right now. And that one chakra will deal with, or should I say, one pair of chakras in this instance, as I'm seeing the images now in my clairsentience and clairvoyance imagery, deals with the energies associated with the base chakra, solar chakra, and the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra being second, of course. I'm just getting them back to front. So, in this instance, that one chakra is a composite chakra that does the job of 3 chakras. It is possible that at some state we might have the same thing associated with the 4th and 5th chakra. That's the heart chakra and the throat chakra. The spiritual or third eye chakra and the crown chakra, I'm just being shown, would stay separate because of their higher functionality. So we can potentially get the condition where the human body starts to move down to having 4 chakras. One chakra that deals with the first 3 frequencies, one chakra that deals with the 4th and 5th frequencies, and then we've got the spiritual or third eye chakra and the crown chakra. Okay, so in summary, a composite chakra is a chakra that deals with the frequencies of other chakras within its area. So it could deal with the frequencies associated with, in the case of the lower chakras, the base, the sacral, and the solar chakra. Okay, and when we meditate, why do our pets like to be near us? Can our pets access higher frequency source energy through us? The answer to that is yes. Animals are very, very intuitive. They are very, very connected, and they are significantly more purer. Excuse my poor English, but they are very much more purer than we are. And when they see us meditating and we start to connect with source and source entity energy, they naturally want to gravitate towards it because of its purity as well, and they like it. Also, we are a different quality of aspect or soul to them. They tend to be like a group soul, but, and operate in that way, whereas we are individualized aspects of a soul, of a bigger soul, for instance, the true energetic self. So we have a higher function, a higher quality of functionality, and so as a result of this, we will be able to pick up higher frequency energies than animals would, and so they're attracted to this. It's a little bit like moths being attracted to the light. The light is a higher frequency, and they're attracted to it. And okay, so they get a moth gets burnt, but our animals don't. They just get attracted to the energy that we are pulling in, and they want to be part of it. And they are part of it, and they do benefit from it as well. So as we meditate, they benefit from it as well by being exposed to those higher frequency energies, and they become charged up as well, and they also ascend the frequencies with us. So as we ascend the frequencies ourselves, the animals also, or our pets also ascend those frequencies as well. Okay, so as we ascend, our animals ascend. As we ascend, our friends ascend. Okay, and 4, do plants have chakras and auras too? There's another part here. How do bacteria and viruses get source or free energy into their vehicles? Okay, so plants have auras, definitely, and Kirlian photography has for a long time justified that statement. There's lots of imagery of auras around leaves, around trees, and around shrubs, and around the fruit of those things. In fact, everything's got an aura. If you look at a table, it's got an aura. It's got an aura because it's energy. As energy, or it's low frequency energy and isn't moving around as fast as the energy associated with the gas. It is without doubt energy, and so you can tune into it. You will see everything that we've got around us will have an aura associated with it. The table I'm sitting at now, the chair, the house, the walls, the cooker, the washing machine, the lights, the clocks, the computers when they work right, the trees outside, for instance, everything's got an aura. In terms of chakras, they tend to have a big composite chakra that we wouldn't specifically recognised as a chakra. So they have a composite chakra that allows them to pull in the energies associated with what they need to have, or should I say the frequencies that they need to have to function here. So we wouldn't see it as a chakra as we know and love it, but they do have a single nexus, as it were, that allows them to pull energy in from source. That's a composite chakra, again, that would, in effect, if we were thinking of a plant in the same way as we think of a human being, then they would have a single composite chakra that would deal with the energies associated with the base chakra, the sacral chakra, solar chakra, heart chakra, throat chakra, spiritual or third eye chakra, and the crown chakra. So they would have a single chakra that would do the job of all those. And again, it's not specifically a chakra as we have it from a human perspective. It's an area of connectivity and collectivity. Okay, and so they say they pull energy in that way. How do bacteria and viruses get source or free energy into their vehicles? I'm just asking that question because that's a very good one. Okay. What I'm being shown here is that they are connected to the energy lines. They work with the matrix, the grid, the templates. That if, for instance, with a virus or a bacteria in a human form, they work with the energies associated with the distribution of energy from the chakras. So they will be connected to and can take energy from the little energy lines that come from the chakras and go towards the, for instance, the organs or this skeletal form or the muscular form or the sinews with the body. They're attached to those. So they don't have a chakra themselves, although they will have an aura, of course. But they pick up energy from us. And in terms of when they're outside of the human form, they would be connected to the wider matrix of energies and these different levels that are associated with the Earth. So they would pick it up that way as well. Okay. Well, I hope that helps. I hope that answers the questions, Ulla. If not, then please send some more, and we can deal with them next time, which would be towards the end of July, because I'm going to go to the Transformation Conference, and therefore that means that the next Satsanga will be very likely towards the last weekend in July. Okay. Right, so apologies for my creaking chair. My house is an old cottage and it's got lots of old furniture in, and old furniture tends to creak. Okay, so let's have a look at this meditation then. Okay, we'll do this, and what I might do is I might actually repeat it at the end of July, so that we get a chance to do it as a group, and you can use this recording as a bit of homework, a bit of preemptive homework. Okay, so as usual, sit down on a straight backed chair with your feet firmly and flat on the ground, so that you've got all of your feet on the ground. Okay, back straight, palms placed uppermost on the upper thighs, closed eye vision, focused on the area between the two eyes and above the bridge of the nose, this being the origin of the spiritual third eye. Okay. And so I'm going to repeat this in July, so don't worry too much about it. We can all do it together. But I can feel all your energies are here anyway, now, whether you're listening to it tonight, tomorrow, or in 3 or 4 weeks' time, or 3 or 4 months' time, doesn't matter. Okay, I want you to visualise that there's a lift in front of you, and I'm in this lift. Okay, so you can all come into this lift, so walk into the lift, and turn around. and I'll let the lift door close. And this lift has only got 7 buttons, and these are associated with the frequential states that are represented by the chakras. Okay. So we use the lift to go up to these different levels. But there's also 3 more which are associated with the energetic side of the human form. The step down function that allows the energies that are projected from the true energetic self, or the Godhead, or the Oversoul, or the higher self, depending upon how you want to describe it, it all means the same thing, can be projected down into the physical form. So this is the first step down function that allows the aspect to come into the physical form, the human vehicle, and animate it, and associate itself with those low frequencies. So what we're going to do first is move ourselves up to the 10th level. So I'm going to press the button for number 10, and we're going to, the lift's going to climb up from 0 to 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, from 3 to 4, from 4 to 5, from 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, and from 9 to 10. Okay. And then I'm just going to let this settle down a moment, and then we're going to let the doors open. And in front of us, we're going to visualize that we're seeing a large version of ourselves. Okay? What we're seeing is a large energetic version of ourselves. Now clearly, this energetic version is only really represented by the first 3 frequencies, the gross physical, and the next 4, the spiritual physical. Okay, which is the melting pot between the gross physical and the purely energetic. But also we've got these 3 levels that are with us that are the step down function. So what we're seeing is energies that act like a funnel, a tun dish. Okay, and then we start to see the image, the energetic image, the templates associated with the human form from the 7th level downwards. And what we're doing is our lift is outside this huge statue, as it were. Think of it as a huge model or a huge statue of us, with this funnel-like feature above the head, above the crown chakra, which represents the step-down function of the energies from 10 to 9 to 8, and then down to 7. And then everything else is a series of energetic states that are relative to the chakras and the frequencies associated with those chakras. So we won't see those all together at this point, but what we will do is we'll see them separately when we move down the frequencies, and we'll see what's manifest there as well. So I'm going to send the walls and the roof and the floor of the lift into completely transparent mode. So we can stand there on this platform which is clear, and we can start to look at this huge model of this human form that's us. Okay. So I'm going to bring us down now to the 7th level. We will find nothing in the 8th, 9th and 10th because it's purely energetic, and there is nothing in these levels that can be affected by the human condition. So we can move down them to the 7th level. Okay, we move down to the 7th level, and now from there we look at ourselves at the 7th level. What we're seeing now is the energetic template associated with the energies surrounding the 7th chakra. Okay. The energies surrounding the 7th chakra, the crown chakra. In this area, if we see any cloudy energy, these sort of grey clouds, okay, or anything else, we know there's some thoughts, as it were, some intentions, some desires that are creating a problem, and that will manifest later in the form of a physical problem. Okay? And so what we need to do is to look for any of these potential clouds. You might find a small one, you might find a huge one. You might find nothing at all on this level. If you find nothing at all on this level, then you know there's nothing being manifest that can later be a physical problem based upon a dysfunctional thought form or thought process. Okay? So just look around, and if you can see anything that's relative to a cloud, let's make a note of it. Okay. Now let's go down to the 6th level. So pressing the button for the 6th level and this invisible lift now, and we drop down to the energies associated with this spiritual or third eye chakra and the template associated with it. Okay. Again, look for any cloudy energy, any low frequency energy. Now, if you see any on this level, then you know that there is definitely some possibility that any dysfunctional thoughts will become manifest as physical dysfunctional disharmony or illness. But again, it's possible not to see and think at this particular level. If we go down the body from 7 through to 1 and we find no clouds, then we know that we are clear, that we're not going to be ill. If we see clouds on the 7th and 6th frequencies, but not on the 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd or 1st, then we know that at some point we are going to get the energies associated with these dysfunctional thoughts migrate down the frequencies and create dysfunction, illness, disease. If we see this energy further on down the frequencies, but not in the higher frequencies, then we know that the higher frequencies condition, the thoughts, have manifested the energy and it is moving down the frequencies and is going to be manifest as a physical illness, disease or dysfunction. But the initial thought process surrounding those has disappeared. Sometimes it stays, sometimes it moves away. So if we are able to correct the thought process, then we can stop the reoccurrence of a particular illness. But in essence, we need to fix the downstream function of that dysfunctional thought process. So we would need to clear out the energy. Okay, so let's move down to the 5th then. So I'll move the lift down to the 5th level, and again we look for any things like any clouds. There may be other things in these lower levels, things that we brought with us from how we've met our demise in previous incarnate existences, such as by sword, for instance, or by accident, or by something penetrating the human form, which leads to its demise. And sometimes energy associated with these things, such as shrapnel, for instance, or a gun bullet, or that sort of stuff, will be manifest within the energy associated with us if we've hung on to it when we left the body in the incarnation that was terminated by one of these ways. And so we can also remove these energies as well if we need to. But first of all we're doing is moving down the frequencies and identifying where things are. Okay. Okay. So if you see anything like this in the 5th level, these things are usually in the first 3. Anything that's come through from previous incarnations. So it's you may well not find them in the
5th and 4th, or even the 6th and 7th. But you will see cloudy energy as a result of the migration of a dysfunctional thought process and the way in which it will affect us from the gross physical perspective in terms of disease or dysfunction or ill health. Okay, so if you've found anything on this level, make a note of where it is. Then we're going to take it down to the 4th level now. And the 4th level again is represented by the 4th chakra and the energy associated with it, and the template associated with that 4th chakra as well. So again, look for any grey clouds of energy or anything else that's represented or that could have come across from a previous life. As I just said, though, it's not likely. It's more likely we'll see these in the first 3 levels rather than the ones above the first 3. So again, make a note of it where you're getting any energies, any thick or grey cloudy energy there, and make a note of where it is. It could be surrounding an organ, it could be external to an organ, it could be within an organ, it could be within a limb, a joint, okay, any of these things. Okay, so let's move down to the 3rd level now. This is where we will see things like swords, for instance, or bullets, or shrapnel, or, you know, if we were killed by a tree, for instance, might be a bit of a tree might be in us. If a tree fell down and squashed us. Okay. So just look for these things, and if they're there on these levels, okay, we can actually pluck them out. Things like any swords or shrapnel or bullets from previous ways of demising, or car parts, could be in a car accident. Okay, these things can be pulled out. Just visualise yourself just grabbing hold of them with your hands and gently teasing them out of the energies associated with the template of the human vehicle on this level. Okay. So we move down to the 2nd and do the same thing. Look for any things that may have come in from a particularly notable demise in the previous life, and also look for any thick energy in terms of grey clouds, etc., around the body that are relevant to the migration of a dysfunctional thought process and its likelihood that it might be manifest as disease or dysfunction. Make a note of where it is. And then on the coming down to the 1st level, okay, I'm bringing this little lift down to the 1st level, and we see the template associated with the 1st chakra. Again, look for any dark, cloudy energy. Around the 1st and 2nd levels, you'll may notice that in your closed eye vision or your clairvoyant vision, that the colour of the cloudy energy becomes darker the lower frequencies you get to. Okay? It's just an indication of the lower frequencies, and there's no other hidden meaning behind that. Okay. So on the first 3 levels, if we see anything like debris from a car accident or a plane crash or something else, or an explosion you may have been part of in a previous life, or anything like a sword or a bullet or something, you can use your energetic hands, as it were, to gently tease these out of the energies associated with the 1st, 2nd or 3rd energetic templates. First one, all of these templates are associated with them, predominantly represented by the chakras that they're associated to. For instance, the third template would be the 3rd chakra, the solar chakra. Okay, the etheric is of course the base chakra. And I think the catharic is the 7th chakra, the crown chakra. So let's move our way up to back up to the 7th level. Okay. And we're going to smooth out the energies associated with these things. Now you can work on each of these levels independently. Okay. And in fact, I think next time we do this in July, we will work on a particular level independently of the other levels. Okay. Or you can do what we're going to do now, which is work on all levels concurrently. Okay. And one of the ways to clear out this energy is to actually comb it out. That is, to comb it out. And I imagine a filter, like a hoop, and the inside of this hoop has got like a mesh or a filter paper or something along those lines, okay, which is relative to the frequency of the correct frequential state of the template that I'm working on. So in the case of the first level, okay, bear in mind we're on the 7th level now. We use this hoop. You can also, I think sometimes you can call it, if in gardening terms, you would call it a riddle, where you would have like a round effect with a mesh in the middle, and you would sort of shake the earth from side to side, and the fine earth would slip through the mesh, and the thicker earth or rocks would stay on top of the mesh. Think of it that way, and that's every time you use a higher frequency filter or comb, as I call them, that the energies get finer and finer and finer. So I like to drop this comb, okay, or this filter, from the crown chakra down past the first spiritual third eye, past the neck or the 5th chakra, past the shoulders, past the heart chakra, going past the upper body down to the lower abdomen. We get the solar chakras, and then the sacral chakra and the base chakra, and then go down past the hips and the knees and the ankles and the feet. So you visualize this going down and cleaning out and smoothing out the energies associated with these dark clouds you may see on the first level. And do this a few times until you feel it's clear, and it's combed out. And then we can choose a comb which is based upon the 2nd frequential level. Okay, it's based upon the energies associated with the 2nd chakra. So again, this is a finer filter, so you can then drop that down a number of times from the head all the way past the shoulders, the hips, the knees, and then the feet. So you let it move down, combing out the thick energy. And you can do this several times until you're satisfied it's happened. Okay? And we can do the same thing with the 3rd level. So again, we've got a finer filter in this hoop. And again, we bring it down from the head, past the neck and the shoulders and the upper body, the stomach area, the lower body, the hips, knees, and the feet. Combing out all this thick energy on the levels that they are manifest on. Okay? On the levels that they manifest on. So we go to the 4th level. Or should I say, get a 4th level filter, and do the same thing again. Drop it down over the head, and neck and shoulders, and upper body and lower body, and the groin area, and the hips, and the knees, and the ankles, and the ground. And again, drop it over a number of times until you're happy that any dark energy or grey clouds are smoothed out, and there's only one frequential state there. When you've done that, select a 5th level filter and do the same thing again, working down from the head, past the body and the hips and the knees, down to the ankles and the floor. And again, do it a number of times, making sure you're happy in your mind's eye and your intuition that you've ironed out all the thick energy, the low frequency energy, and it's all become one energetic level. Okay. When you've done that, you can do it a few times just to make sure that you're happy with it. Okay, and then we can do it again by using the 6th level in this instance. So a 6th level comb again operates on the frequency associated with the 6th chakra, the spiritual or 3rd eye chakra, and the template associated with them. And so we can drop that one down, because again they're all progressively finer. Drop it down from the head down past the spiritual 3rd eye, the neck, the shoulders, the upper body, the lower body, hips, knees, ankles, and then feet. And then finally we can use one that's the 7th level from the crown, and do the same thing again. Again, it's a finer filter, a finer mesh. You can drop that down from the head, down past the ears, the chin, the neck, the shoulder girdle, the upper chest, the abdomen, the lower body, the groin, the hips, the knees, the ankles, and then the floor. And you can do this a number of times with the 7th level, so you'll satisfy that you've got, in effect, you can put the hoop over the head and it drops to the ground of this big statue of you without any resistance at all. Okay. And in doing that, you've combed out and smoothed out all the energies associated with dysfunction, and the physical body will start to correct itself. Okay. So I think we might go over that again in July and focus on one particular area or two particular areas, and we can go into more detail with it as well. Okay, so I'm going to bring us back down to the 0 level now, the earth level. So the lift becomes opaque, so there's front and rear walls, there's walls left and right, and there's a roof and there's a floor. I push the button that's got the number 0 in it, and the lift goes down from 7 to 6, from 6 to 5, from 5 to 4, from 4 to 3, from 3 to 2, and 2 to 1, and the earth level 0. When you're ready, you can walk out of the lift and take some liquid and water to ground you. Okay, you can try this as often as you like. It's quite a well-known, tried and tested method of healing, in my mind. Certainly the method of selecting out and smoothing out energies anyway. The method I've just described to you is particular to my own intuitive toolbox, as it were. But in essence, removing those clouds or smoothing energy out is in keeping with the way I was taught initially. Okay, and it works very, very well. Okay, everybody, well, thank you very much for listening to this recording. Again, I apologise for the computer crash. It's still not working, and hopefully I'll get it sorted out for the next Satsanga, which will be the last Saturday in July. Okay, namaste, everybody. God's love and sources of to you, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Did you see the aliens in Crete?